What's up, everybody? Today's video is how football actually works. My name is Greg, an American living abroad in Spain, learning the beautiful game of football one reaction at a time with your help. All right, and this is Tifo Football by The Athletic. They make some amazing videos. They have 1.72 million subscribers, but I think they could use a couple more. So I'll include a link in the description so you can go and show them some love. I'm always trying to learn. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a coach. Basketball, I coached high school, college. I coached little fifth graders back in the US. So I love the ins and outs and the X's and O's and how things actually work. I'm assuming that's what this is going to be. And just learning a little bit more about the game. So feel free to comment. As always, I always do appreciate the feedback, any thoughts, anything like that you have. So let's take a look here. Make sure we are good to go. All right. Let's see what we can see.
You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now.
The music is good.
You often hear supporters and commentators speak about patterns of play, philosophies, or team systems in football. But what exactly do those terms refer to? Well, coaches and clubs at most levels have begun implementing what is known as a game model, which are often based on the 10 phases of play and are used to guide the player's actions, behaviors, and decision-making process.
I just want to understand this and make sure I'm hearing it. So game model based on the 10 phases of play. Okay.
During play and are used to guide the player's actions, behaviors, and decision-making processes during each phase.
Okay. So, okay.
The 10 phases of play are broken down into different categories and subcategories. The four main ones are in possession, out of possession, transitions, and set pieces, with each one having its own subcategories. For instance, when a side is in possession, the three phases are generally based on the location of the ball.
Okay.
Starting from the back, typically from a goal kick or when the goalkeeper has the ball in their hands, the in-possession side starts the build-up phase. They attempt to break the first line of opposition pressure through various principles, such as always maintaining one player extra in relation to the opposition front line.
Okay.
Playing with high tempo and few touches, and always attempting to offer both vertical and lateral support to the ball carrier, which increases simple passing options. Once the first ball has been successfully progressed into the middle third of the pitch, the team is then considered to be in the progression phase. Once the in-possession side has arrived into the progression phase, they must then look to move the ball into the final third by overcoming the opposition block. Typically, this can be done by playing the ball around, through, or over the block. To create these types of situations, there are some key principles which the team may follow to increase their chances of successfully progressing the ball, often including maintaining width with one player on each flank to stretch the opposition laterally, and runs in behind the back line to stretch the block vertically. Positional rotations can also...
It's good. So it's like spacing in basketball, where you have two wing players that are usually, well, in a general fast break. I would say when the fast break is when you're switching possessions from defense to offense, and you usually have two wings. This is a generic fast break. You usually have two wings, and so they, in theory, take their defenders with them and space the floor, so that leaves less people in the middle of the floor. That's kind of what he's doing right here by having two wings and then opening up the middle spacing.
Including maintaining width with one player on each flank to stretch the opposition laterally, and runs in behind the back line to stretch the block vertically. Positional rotations can also create space and chaos in the opponent's defensive shape, and the creation of triangles in wide areas is also a key for many sides when attempting to progress the ball. After the team has built play through the first two-thirds of the pitch, the side will now have established possession in the final third. This phase has various names ranging from creation to finishing, but the main goal of the phase, of course, is to create scoring opportunities.
Right. I hope one day, I'm sure he has to have something that shows the defensive perspective and what their principles are Because if they know, just like me and you and everybody else watching this video, you know what they're trying to do. So that means the defense obviously has designed something to stop it. So be curious to see that one day.
In the attacking third of the pitch, many teams will look to overload the opposition backline by attacking with 5 to 6 players across their attacking line and maintaining balance behind them with either a 2-3 structure or a 3-2 structure. With 5 players across the front line, the team is able to occupy space across the entirety of the pitch. In order to do this, teams will also attempt to switch the point of attack quickly to the opposite side, trying to set up 1v1 and 2v1 situations. For each of the 3 in-possession phases...
Sorry, I keep stopping and referring this to basketball, but in basketball, they would call that a skip pass, where you're skipping from one side of the court, and instead of going from, one point to the next point to the next point to over here, you're just skipping from here to here, and that makes poor rotations and everything for the defense, opens up room to attack. So that's kind of what I see. Because he made that skip pass, the defense doesn't have time to go over. Now you have a 2-on-1 situation. So that's pretty cool.
There is an out-of-possession phase that mirrors them. These are also typically defined by the geographic location on the pitch and are most often known as simply high block, mid block, and low block. When the opposition is attempting to play out from the back and the side out of possession attempts to pressure them high up the pitch, they are considered to be defending with a high block. Some teams will look to initiate an out-to-in press, forcing the opposition centrally, while others employ the in-to-out system, forcing the opposition to wide areas of the pitch.
Okay.
These types of systems
So now he's going over the defense. That's great.
Are achieved through the use of pressing with a cover shadow and bending their runs during pressure. Pressing as a unit and playing with a high and aggressive backline is key to compressing the time and space for the opposition. Once the initial press has been broken, the defending team will drop their shape back into a mid-block. In this phase, the backline will continue to stay relatively high and aggressive, and the block will often attempt to force the play around to the wide areas, using the sideline as an extra defender. Minimizing space between the lines becomes more critical while simultaneously shifting side to side to try to keep numerical superiority around the ball. The low block is where more examples of emergency defending may occur. Remaining extremely compact with short distances between each line of players and players within each line is vital. Preventing the opposition from carrying or receiving between the lines will also allow for protection of the most dangerous areas in front of goal, while forcing the opposition into wider areas. However, once they are forced wide towards the end line, preventing cutbacks and crosses is also an important principle for nearly every side. But while one team is always in possession and the other team out of possession, the moments in which possession changes from one team to the other is when transitions occur. The moments of transition are very quick, tending to last between 5 to 8 seconds. When a team loses possession, they must choose between a few key options which are dependent on the current balance of the team. If players are close to the ball, they are able to quickly counter-press in an attempt to retrieve possession as quickly as possible. But if the team is unbalanced and there are large distances to the ball, the better option may be to delay the ball carrier and return to the defensive shape as quickly as possible. Upon regaining possession of the ball, teams tend to have 2 options. If the opposition is unbalanced and there is space behind them to attack, the right choice may be to counter-attack quickly towards the goal. If not, the better option might be to play the first pass out of pressure and attempt to establish possession and enter.
I see. So, okay. So if they can attack, then... Okay. They can attack, then they do attack. If they can't attack, then they get the ball back to the keeper so that he can set up the play. Just like basketball. Sorry. But I mean, that's what it is. It's like if you have numbers, as they say, that means you have more numbers than the defense. So if you get 3 people back and they only have 2, then you have a 3-2 advantage attacking on the fast break. And so you're going to attack. But if the defense gets back and has 5 people set up in their defensive half court before you're able to fast break, then you don't have numbers. And so now you get the ball to the point guard and you reset and you set up the play. So that's similar to this.
To the next phase of play. Set pieces, accepted as a phase of play by most, are a hugely important part of the game, though they can often be overlooked. For every attacking set piece, there is of course a defensive set piece for the opposition. These include free kicks, corners, penalties, throw-ins, and even kickoffs. With football becoming increasingly dissected and analysed, principles and sub-principles for each phase will only continue to develop.
Okay.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic brings you the best sports journalism in the world in a personalised experience, connecting you with the stories and...
Okay, well, thank you,
can now get a third...
Mr. Athletic. That was good. Oh, man, I really love his videos. He does such a great job. So can't wait to watch more of those. Let's take a look and see what the people got to say, because I always like doing that, see if I can learn something new. Finally, Tifo is making sense of this thing we keep watching every week. All right. Just in time for a new Football Manager game. Lovely. Oh, I was thinking about playing that. Let me know what you think in the comments. I was thinking about playing that. Last one, Tifo. You can now get a 30-day trial to experience a football work on the Athletic for free. All right, as always, thank you for stopping by, and we will see you on the next video. Peace.